Greetings. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I wanted to cover a wide variety of topics this morning, with the primary focus being on artificial intelligence, the development of AI, and also my interaction with individuals involved in creating the AI and more. So, like for right now, I want to zoom in a little bit on the sun. It's right in the middle of the view there. Oh, let me flip that around. This is at the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier in North Myrtle Beach, or Cherry Grove, South Carolina, on the coast of the United States. This is a sea level liquid mirror. People come from all over the world to enjoy the beauty and majesty of creation here. Last year we had about 20 million guests come here. And I have a really important message, and that is for everybody to seek the truth with all your heart, because it matters for eternity. Where will you spend eternity and why? I've been asking questions like that for a long time. And I've been asking why, the question why, for a long time. I wanted to know why, and how things work and why they are a certain way. A lot of times things don't measure up the way they're supposed to. Inconsistencies with the program, so to speak. Some say get with the program. Well, what I'm wanting us to consider is, how does this actually all work out? What's going on here? Who's in charge? Are you in charge of your own life, or has your life been determined or predetermined? So, is it true? Whatever it is that you want to know about. So what I wanted to do this morning was also a bit of a sound check. I'm using the iPhone 11 Pro Max with a DJI gimbal, standard mic, and the view you're looking at right now is the widescreen. If I go to standard view, then we get quite a bit of magnification and quite a bit different lighting. But I can't flip the screen around when I'm doing a direct recording. But it's high definition, and it's artificial intelligence affected. Meaning there's tools in there to provide a steadiness. I'm going to pan on around and show you what it looks like here. The tide is going out now for about 3 more hours. So is what you believe actually true, or is it something else? I'm convinced there's a lot of deception in this world, and I'm wanting to expose that. so people can make an educated choice on their eternity. Where will you spend it and why? I've gained quite a bit of recognition around the world, literally to the ends of the earth, through the use of artificial intelligence with the videos that I'm in on the most subscribed YouTube channels in the world, largest networks in the world. And I'm wanting people to consider, do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? That was heard over 40 million times, as well as we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. That's what it's doing right now. The biblical cosmology, that means the nature of our world and our universe as far as we know, is that we live on a stationary level plane, doesn't move. The water moves, the clouds and wind move, the information moves. A grand illusion being promoted by high-powered technology to expose the good, the truth, the evil, and the deception, all of it. How will you be able to determine what is actually real? So real and truth, I believe, are interchangeable. How do you define real? If real is what you can see, taste, feel, and touch, then reality is simply what your brain, neurological signals that your brain interprets. Well, that's partly true because many are believing a lie. So their interpretation of what they perceive to be reality is based on false information. I have what I call my research library. On that library, I have powerful content to expose the reality of the world that we are living in. And I have some questions on some of the hidden history, the missing history, or the outright fake history that's been presented not only in school books, in classrooms, and on the internet. It's all of that and more. So to look at the architectural evidence of the world that we live in, some things don't add up. Apparently we had structures that were built a long time ago. I can give you a sticker if you want.
I was trying to send you your picture.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much. That is awesome. Yeah, if you hashtag my name, you'll find some interesting content. Thank you so much. That's a great picture, by the way. Appreciate it. So that gentleman just took a picture of me doing this video. It really looks good. And well, this is a liquid mirror that they're on right now too. It's just gorgeous. Now, this would have been a very beautiful picture, video to record with the P1000, because once again, the sun appears to be in the midst of the clouds. I've got that occurrence captured many times. If you hashtag local sun, you'll see many occurrences of that. Some where I'm talking and some where I'm not. I'm just letting the wind and the waves and the birds tell the story. Anyway, with a lot of the archaeological evidence of our world, there's a lot of mystery with it. Now, part of what I found very compelling about the archaeological evidence that was discovered in the mountains of Ararat was actually the ark, apparently, that Noah, his family, and a bunch of animals survived the Great Flood. So I'm unapologetically a biblical creationist. And in this creation, there's a lot of high-powered technology that's transmitting information. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. Cat or not cat. If we're looking at artificial intelligence and binary ones and zeros, AI, it's interesting to listen to the discussion about it, where it determines what a cat looks like because it's told this is a picture of a cat, everything else is not a cat. And it's to listen to the linguistics and how this all works out is pretty fascinating to me. So it's computer science, computer programming, and yes, we are part of the programming. A really important part of the programming where that information is going to be interpreted by our brains, and our destiny, I believe, that has been predetermined, will also be represented in where we'll spend eternity and why. So in the discussion of philosophy of predestination or predetermination and free will, that's a hotly debated topic. And it fits right in with artificial intelligence and how what happens when you've got computers writing their own software. Hey, take a look around and look at what's going on in humanity. Apparently that's going on in the form of people that are doing their own thing. Yeah, how does that work? Well, apparently it works pretty well. It's obvious that some have got a corrupt program that they're running compared to the biblical proclamation. That's the one I'm holding to as being the most important to consider. A lot of people don't like that. Okay, well, that's unfortunate for them. The other thing that I can do with a direct recording on my device is go with the wide angle, wider than even the P1000. And then I'll be able to directly upload it from the beach here today. Looks like it will be a spectacular day once again. So not only have we been programmed with a variety of information, part of the corrupt data, I would say, for many, would be the Santa Claus lie. A grand illusion that was perpetuated by friends, family, the social mores of a region. Some got that programming, some got a different programming. So what about all that? Well, we can see that things don't add up, or at least I can. If my research library is got too much information for you to consider, or you're too busy with your life and the truth about this doesn't matter to you, well, that's unfortunate, I would say. Hopefully you reconsider that perspective, because I'm convinced that the truth matters. And the truth matters for eternity. I've been heard saying that the AI is much like the Terminator. Gonna flip it around for a moment. I'll be back. Yeah, I was dead, spiritually dead, but I also physically died in a suicide attempt that was successful at not ending my life. It was in 2005 while on pharmaceuticals under a physician's care, so to speak. How about that? Yeah, it can happen. So I'm convinced that the pharmaceutical industry is driven by profit and also, not just profit, also control of human beings. If you control the mind, you control the person, right? Is that true? Somebody that's mind controlled, are they aware of it? Do they know? Probably not. Probably not. Could even be me. Could even be me. Am I right or wrong? Is there something else between right and wrong, true and false? A lot of people living the space fantasy have seen Star Trek. V'ger was wreaking havoc on the Enterprise, and Spock, the epitome apparently of perfect logic, says to V'ger, "Everything I say is a lie." It caused that little AI robot to smoke, to burn out. It couldn't compute that. Was that a true statement? That everything V'ger says is a lie? Or everything Spock says is a lie? Well, what I would say, does that even matter? It's more food for thought, is what I'm wanting you to consider. A lot of people questioning their existence now because of a little more discretionary time. Has your eternal destiny been determined? Or do you determine it? Free will and God's sovereignty. Apparently, there's a contradiction between those two concepts and possibly realities. And then you might say, well, what God? There's a lot of gods. As far as I can tell, the God many people worship is found in their reflection. It's their own self-pleasure, self-effort, self-satisfaction. A lot of self there. What I found out is a life lived in my own effort for my own pleasure was yielding a miserable result, and I wanted to know more. I wanted to know if I was truly born again, born of God's Spirit. Why am I struggling so much with things that I'm supposed to be free from? And what I found out was rather disturbing and was quite a bit of relief at the same time. And the answer that I got was I was spiritually dead, and I didn't know it. You see, I went through all what I was told from evangelical Christianity to believe and receive. Believe that Jesus is who he says he is, and then receive his forgiveness. And I even cried, was fully baptized, fully immersed. Some cling to a notion that you've got to actually speak in tongues or in a language you don't know to be born of the Spirit. I don't hold to that. Does that mean I'm a heretic? Some would say so. Some would say if I don't believe in man's free will that I'm a heretic. Heck, people will believe largely what they want to believe. And what I believe is actually only effective for me, and what you believe is only actually effective for you, as best I can tell. That's the way it works. So there's a lot of occurrences that have happened in my life in surviving quite a few near-death experiences, including getting hit by lightning and my own personal suicide attempt in car accidents, motorcycle accidents, and near accidents, all to get to this point. So some would say Jim Carrey's kind of found a bunch of truth. And he's been heard saying, none of this matters. Nope, none of us is here. This is all like a grand illusion. You can listen to Jim. I would be surprised if he doesn't know who I am or have seen me. Many have. The artificial intelligence certainly has. The flat earth has become the epitome of stupidity by many. Those that think they're so wise and have this all figured out, believing they live on a spinning water ball hurling through space, yet the supposed movement of the earth has never, ever been proven. And there could be no level anywhere on a spinning water ball hurling, wobbling, and gyrating. So more recently, I've had some haters come on around, and sometimes I'll just delete their comments asking me how high the sun is, what's the altitude of the sun. Clearly in the video that I shared with them, I said, I don't know the altitude or the speed that it's moving. The Bible says that the sun is in the midst of the clouds. That's what I observe. Apparently, in the Gulf Coast, there's been a lot more water-seeking level driven by high-velocity winds. Might want to hashtag Weather Wars 101. There's, good morning. Hi, buddy. There's weather modification programming that's going on. Electronics that activates particulate that's been dispersed in our atmosphere. And also particulate like the wildfires affect our world weather. So does all the things that are combusted, all the other plastics and toxins that get burned up, hazardous waste that gets incinerated. It's one of the reasons why food for thought is not just an idea, and it's not just nutrition. It's a combination of both of those, and actually reducing toxification in the body so it can operate properly. So the brain function is more accurately interpreting the reality. It's one of the reasons why I bathe in reverse osmosis drinking water. I've got a system that fills up my bathtub. It's got nearly 0 parts per million dissolved solids. And then I've got the water grounded with the third prong on an extension cord, because otherwise my injected molded tub connected with PVC tubing and plumbed with PVC plumbing, it's all disconnected from the earth. Walking barefoot on the earth, on the wet sand, is very therapeutic, feels good. Now, water itself is not very conductive. Purified water has very little conductivity, near zero. And what I'm putting in my bath water is a 1/4 cup of baking soda, boron, and magnesium sulfate, all powerful electrolytes. Boron you can get in the form of Mule 20 Team Borax if you want. I should be able to get some more from Walmart. It was on like back order. I like to have my exfoliating gloves soaking in the borax baking soda solution. On that solution, I don't include the magnesium sulfate, which is somewhat of a plant growth stimulator. Cancer is a fungus. I'm in the sun a lot. Baking soda and borax is alkaline and kills fungus. Cancer is a fungus. Dr. Semenici out of Italy injected purified water and baking soda in cancerous tumors and killed them deader than a hammer. About 28 years ago, my mother told me shortly before she died of cancer, she said, "Bobby, if the cancer doesn't get you, the treatment will." She was right. The cancer is caused by toxins and our body's response to those toxins. There's a lot of ways that we can get them. Worry can be a neurological toxin, fear, and also many of the chemicals that are in our environment contribute to the overgrowth of cells that take over and they'll kill the host, which is the person. So I want people to make an informed choice on that. I'm encouraging people to not get vaccinated. Is that irresponsible? Well, look at my research library and go ahead and make your own determination with the information that's been made available. If it would be, and I believe it's going to be mandatory, the COVID coronavirus ID, the electronic integrated technology, I believe is going to be mandatory. If it was voluntary, Walgreens and Walmart would probably be enough to take care of that. However, apparently in the United States, our military is going to dispatch it in a powerful way, according to Donald Trump. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Well, I've got documentaries on my channel, information on my channel that should help you make an informed choice. How about artificial intelligence? Is it good or bad? Yes, both. It's actually both good and bad. What will you do with that information? You can look at it if you want to, or scroll on by. On my research library, I try to keep to the maximum amount that I can have on there, or a few less than 5,000, so I can add to it. And my research library includes the playlist that I share, my created playlist. And it also includes my entire social media platform activity, from Twitter to Instagram, MySpace, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. We're all being tracked, traced, databased, and threat assessed, and being influenced by artificial intelligence. I am as well, very much so. And on my channel, I've got a lot of information that I believe is important for people to look at. If you're interested in knowing the truth, I believe you'll find it there. And because I'm exposing the kaleidoscope of conspiracy theories, I want to let you know that those theories are intentionally integrated to cause people to be overwhelmed with the information. And it hides the actual conspiracy. The system that creates all these conspiracy theories, is designed to hide the actual conspiracy and the conspirators, those colluding with governments and corporations to control the masses. One of my commenters on my on a video saw my research library and said, "Ha ha ha, you got to be kidding." No, I'm not kidding. Not at all. What's so funny about it? There's funny stuff on there. There's comedians on there. You can see them, you can hear them. I'm one of them. A bit of an anomaly. But no, it's not meant to be humor. I'm very serious. I'm not kidding. I'm saying it's going to actually require more than human capacity to figure this all out. Not that you have to know the truth about everything. You just have to know the most important truth. And from the biblical perspective, you need to be born again to even see the kingdom of heaven, let alone go there, let alone be there. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says to everybody forever, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So it's way beyond a satanic deception. God himself is going to help people believe the lie they apparently want to believe. How about that? How about that? I'm not going to be able to overcome that, nor would I want to. Rather than me doing my own thing, I want to do God's thing for me, what he created me to do. So apparently when people live out their purpose, that's it. The electricity stops flowing through the body or in the body and their body stops functioning. It's a flat line. Like maybe you've heard the sound of the representation of the heart beating in a beeper sound. Maybe you've heard your own heart. When I go underwater in the bathtub and let the cleaning solution of the borax, baking soda, and magnesium sulfate bubble go into my sinus passages, displace the air that's in there, and release the toxins, some of them, as many of them as possible, well, I can sometimes hear my heart beating. If I get real quiet, just relax, I can hear that. The sound of my own heart reverberating through the water and in my body. It's pretty interesting. So we've got electrical impulses in our body that are interpreted by our brain. We've got optical receptors, eyes, can see a lot. Seeing is believing. What? What do we see and what do we believe about what we see? Take a look at some of the movies from Hollywood and from news outlets. And they're working together to give a perspective. Many times that desire is to communicate a false reality, an augmented reality. A good example of augmented reality or fantasy would be pornography. I mean, there's a couple of the greatest impulses in the core of our construct, in our being, in us, to have significance, to be loved and appreciated, and to enjoy pleasure. And pornography is a bit of a counterfeit of all that. It's not real. So the light up on the prints there is the reflection of the sun, of course. That's how it works. And then as the sun moves, that reflection will move as well to another window. It's like a mathematical equation. It's how it actually works. When the skimboarders were walking towards me, they were silhouettes. Now the sun hitting them like that is different, of course. Talked to him the other day. I said, wouldn't it be cool to have a lithium-powered electrical bike pulling a skimboarder with the tow rope when the tide's going out? They liked the idea. Some of the physics and properties of water. I'm going to walk us on over to show you what it looks like under the pier here. It's the low spot. The velocity of the water has been altered because of the structure that's in the water, and it creates a different shape. There's a contour to the beach. It's not perfectly flat. That's obvious. It's a Prince Resort in Cherry Grove, South Carolina. You can go on the website and activate cameras right now, if you want, that are on the building. From your remote location. So I'm going to swing on over here and show you what it looks like shooting under the pier. Show you what that water looks like. So I went to handheld right now with the gimbal to try that, see how that works out. So with artificial intelligence as one of the talking points on this, how would you program wind and water in a simulation and how it works? I don't know, it's beyond me. I don't say that I totally understand it. I know that when the water goes up, it wants to come back down. That's the way it works. That's reality. Water will fly off a tennis ball, a beach ball. It'll fly off my foot. That's the way it actually works. But as far as sticking to a spinning, wobbling water ball hurling through the universe, that's a wet dream. You have to be asleep to believe it. How about that? Yeah, it's a liquid fantasy. It's not real. How about that? How about that? Yeah, How about that? So when I just have the handheld gimbal, I can have quite a bit more flexibility of what I show. The tripod can be a little bit of a challenge to handle. But it certainly does provide a lot of stability when I just want to stand there and talk about something like this. Higher is drier, lower is wetter all over the face of this stationary Earth. We had a hurricane come through here, tropical storm / hurricane, and 5 feet of water went over the top of the beach there, over the street that I walked on to get over here. A lot of cars got flooded out, and apparently in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast in Texas and that, there's going to be a lot of damage. It's a catastrophic hurricane apparently. I'm sure a lot of people will experience death and tragedy, pain. Good morning. Good to see you. So the wet sand here is at about a 1 to 2% grade. I've checked it with the level. One of the commenters said, how come Bob Nodell picked up a 15 degree per hour movement? I don't know what Bob picked up. I can tell you the earth isn't moving. Maybe he picked up movement of the firmament that the stars and the sun and the moon are in. In how does that work? Freaking excellent. It's awesome. That's how it works. That's how I found it. I don't have to create a model that shows it and explains it all. I'm going to say what I believe really doesn't affect you directly unless what you believe is actually true. If what I'm telling you is actually true and you believe it, then it becomes effective for me. The truth isn't based on popular opinion. It's not popular, and it's not an opinion. It's simply the reality of the situation. So as important as what I believe is for me, and effective technically only for me, as far as I know, what you believe is technically only a benefit to you or a detriment. You may believe something that's not true. That's why I say very succinctly, God's grace is required to love and believe the truth, let alone find it. God's grace meaning our unmerited favor that God bestowed on us to help us know the reality of the situation. One of the evidences that I'm not the guy that I was is I have a passion, purpose, and eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously could not do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's really, really unpopular. A lot of people give lip service to loving the truth. They want to know the truth. Really? Do you really? Or do you want to believe what you want to believe? That's the question. Got a little bit of a lens flare I was going to try and take care of here. It's a little bit different. It's fine. I've interacted with people from all over the world here. Right under the pier, right at the pier. It's a beautiful place to do it. Apparently last year we had approximately 20 million guests that came to the Grand Strand of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So what I'm going to want to do is freehand this a little bit, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'll just free up my gimbal, and I'm going to take this down to the tidal pools around the pilings, around the piers. Show you close up some of the frequency of the ripples, the way that the water interacts. We've got hydrostatic pressure, water coming out of the sand, coming on down. We haven't had any waves go up here for quite some time. It's the water just coming out of the sand. There's also water going down into the aquifers. It's part of the filtration process of our world. We've got a combination of liquid oxygen and hydrogen working the sand, working with the sunlight, ultraviolet light from the sun, purifying the toxins out of our atmosphere, the water flowing in our world that we live in, including us. That's why it should be clean, purified water. Right now, the water of the world is being toxified with chemicals in the food, water, and air. There's physical properties within the ocean water, the salts and the elements and the minerals that become airborne, and man, it feels great to be swimming in the ocean when it's clean like this. I mean, it's really nice here. Some areas of the world have a really toxic exposure, have a really toxic level of activity around it. Look at how nice and clean that water is. So what's the reality of all this, and does it matter? Yes, it does matter. Higher is drier, lower is wetter. It's the way it actually works. A body in motion stays in motion until an outside force acts against it or on it. I've asked this question to a few people, very few get the answer right. I used to race professional level motocross. When I'm in the air on the motorcycle and I hit the front brake, will it have any effect on the motorcycle? The answer is yes. That wheel spinning forward, when it's stopped or slowed down, it will dip the front end of the motorcycle down. Because the false assumption that many people have, well, the brake is meant to work when you're on the ground. Well, it's beyond that. It works while it's in the air, just differently. It'll affect altitude. It'll affect angular movement. We've got what is called centrifugal force, where like water spins off of a tennis ball, a beach ball. That's why I know they're lying about us living on a globe. They're lying about it. I'm telling on them. I'm telling on the people that are lying about it. They may not even be aware that they're lying. They may think that they're a science teacher in a school or a theoretical physicist giving us a line of falsities, meandering off into formulas and theories that do not reflect reality. Oh well, that's the way it is. That's where the sunbeam is now. If I just move a little bit, see how that affects all of that? Where we stand matters. Here's a starfish. He's alive still. How about that? I'll put him right back where I found him. He's trying to dig himself back in. There he is. So I'm grounded when I'm in the water like this. The earth is ground. The atmosphere is positive. There's a reduction in cellular perturbance or irritation when I'm grounded. Reduces the pain that people can sometimes experience. Does that matter? I would say absolutely. Some people in pain get a heroin addiction and a doctor will help them do it. How about that? How about that? I'm talking opiate addiction with people that have pain. Yeah. A lot more suicide now with the lockdown. People are just checking out. I wouldn't recommend it. Not at all. Where we stand makes a difference. It affects the flow of information. Do you stand for the truth? Or do you stand for something else? Are you one of the people exposing the deception? Or are you one of the people that's promoting the grand illusion, the deception? So now that I'm doing what I'm created to do, I have the satisfaction of enjoying that experience. It's awesome. So this is Robert Forsch with The Truth. I want to thank you for your public and private encouragement. Feel free to reach out anytime you like. Let's see. I've got it in a little baggie here. That works. It's 1 for the country code, just so you know. There's the reflection off of there. Kind of cool, isn't it? Thank you again. Where will you spend eternity? and why? That's the question you need to get right. One of the other things that I'm going to mention is what I believe true, I believe so. By definition, what we believe to be true. Also, I believe that God is evident within his creation and that he is ultimately the way, the truth, and the life, the Alpha and Omega, knowing the end from the beginning. AI is knowledgeable, knows a lot. God knows it all. Do you know him? That's the question you need to figure out. Do you know him in a way that he lives within you and is living in and through you? That's the main question. If you believe that you're born again, is that actually true? In my case, from 1982 until 2014, I was living a lie and did not know it. It was false advertising. Even though I worked at a full-time ministry, we homeschooled our sons, were foster parents for 9 young men. I was selected to lead character development classes at a mega church, Christ the Rock Community Church in Menasha, Wisconsin, and I worked at Rawhide Boys Ranch for 11 years. All that time, I was spiritually dead and did not know it. When I was born again, I was changed. I was born of the Spirit. The Gospel of John explains that. Also explains God's sovereignty, meaning he's large and in charge. There's nothing in this world that's going to happen that he either doesn't cause or allow. What a comfort. Do you know him? Are you born again? That's the question. Whose child are you? Are you a child of God, the true creator, or are you a child of Satan, the deceiver? Which one? How will you know? It's going to require some help. God's grace is required to love and believe the truth, let alone find it. Thank you so much.